Welcome to ABC Preschool. I'm Miss Annette, and today in class we're learning about boats. 5 fun facts about boats. First fact, boats float on water. Second fact, some boats have a big, huge piece of cloth that is called a sail, and they move along the water without any engines because the wind catches on that sail and pushes them along. Third fact, some boats require paddles or oars to move. Fourth fact, almost all boats have anchors. An anchor is something very heavy that drops in the water that keeps the boat from drifting off. And fifth fact, this is a fun one, pirates loved boats. They would search for treasures on the high seas as they sailed in their boats. Boats come in all different sizes, from little tiny rowboats to huge ships. And boats serve different purposes. They're used for many different reasons. Some are fishing boats, and some are cruise boats, those great big ships that people go on and have a vacation. And some are used for exploring, and some are for parties. Also, some boats go under the water. Those are called submarines. They come up top for a little while, but then they dive down low in the deep, deep parts of the ocean. Some boats, like ferries, are strong enough to carry people and bicycles and even cars from one place and carry them over the water to another place. Once upon a time, in a seaside village, there was a little boat named Jordan. Though small, Jordan dreamed of grand adventures, just like the big ships that sailed across the vast ocean. One day, the great pearl of the ocean went missing in a big, fierce storm. The big ships were too afraid to look for it, but brave little Jordan volunteered. He sailed through the wild waters, riding over giant waves and pushing against the howling winds. Deep in the ocean, Jordan found the pearl guarded by a gentle octopus. With kindness and courage, Jordan asked for the pearl's return, and the octopus, seeing Jordan's big heart, gladly gave it back. When Jordan sailed home with the pearl, the seas grew calm once more. From that day on, Jordan was known as the little boat with the biggest heart and the bravest soul. The end. And now for a science activity. Are you ready for this? So what we're going to do is we're going to determine if these things right here, I have a whole bunch of little items over here, if when I put them in the water, they're going to float like a boat or sink to the bottom. Won't that be fun? And then we'll make a little mark right here. If it sinks, we'll put a little line right there. If it floats, we'll put a line on this side. This word says sink, and this word says float. And you can tell the difference by the beginning letter in each word. Here's an S, and what does the S make? What sound? S. You're right. So this one is sink, and this one, the beginning letter is F. What sound does an F make? That's right, float, or S. Are you ready? Okay, let's begin. I'll start with this brush. This is a sponge brush, very soft, and it's got a wooden handle. Is it going to sink or float? What do you think? What is your guess? As a scientist, you always want to make a good guess. So make a guess, and it doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. It's just going to be your scientific guess. All right, here we go. Let's see what the answer is. It's floating. If you said float, then you're right. And if you said sink, it doesn't even matter. Let's make one line over here. Float. All right. Next thing, we have a wood block. This wooden block, what do you think? Is it going to sink or float? Okay, let's take a look and see if your guess is right. It floats too. Another mark over here on the float side. All right, next we have a nail. What do you think? Sink or float? Let's take a look and see what the answer is. All the way to the bottom, just that fast. So it was sink. Let's write a line right here on the sink side. Here I have a cute little tomato out of my garden. I wonder, do tomatoes sink or do they float? What do you think? Let's take a look and see what the answer is. Oh, all the way down. Another one for our sink column. All right, here, this is, I hope you can see it. It's a little crystal rock that came off of a big crystal-y rock that my grandma Beth gave to me. And every once in a while, little pieces fall off, and I'd like to collect them and save them. Do you think a rock is going to sink or float? Let's take a look. All the way down. All right, another line on our sink side. All right, here is a marble, a beautiful blue marble. I used to collect marbles when I was little. My favorite ones were the ones that were all clear. I loved those the very most. Let's see, is the marble going to sink or float? Let's see if you're right. All the way down also. We have so many that are sinking and not floating like a boat. Let's do this little cup. Sometimes I like to put my snacks in this little cup. Let's see if it's going to sink or float. What do you think? Okay, let's take a look and see what it does. Oh, it floats right up on the top. All right, we have another one for the float side. There we go. And we have two more things. Here we have a red crayon, and it wouldn't matter whatever color it is. Does a crayon float or sink? All right, let's take a look. Yep, a little bit of a slower sinking, but it sinks. All right, we'll do one more right here. And then finally we end with this beautiful leaf. This was a green leaf, and now it's turning yellow for fall because it's autumn time where I live, almost autumn time. Let's take a look. Make your guess, sink or float. Okay, I'm going to put it in. Floating right on top, not even getting wet on the top of it. All right, so we've got another float. All right, let's count and see how many of each we have. Let me move our jar over just a tiny bit. Here we go. Count with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 items that sink in our experiment. Let's count how many on float. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 items that float. Which side has the larger number? Which side has the most? You're right. The sink side. We had more that were sinking and floating. All right, now I have a tricky one for you. I saved it for very last because I wanted to show you this. This is fun. I was so surprised that it did this. So I have a pickleball. Do you know anybody that plays pickleball? Do you play pickleball sometimes? This is a special ball that's made for that sport. And if you'll notice, it has holes in it. So I'm thinking it should probably sink because the holes will fill up with water and take it down to the bottom, right? But when I tested it, watch what happened. It starts to sink, but it doesn't go all the way down. Can you see that? The top of it is still above the water. So what would you say? Does a pickleball sink or float? Think about it. Let's sing together a little song about a boat. The boat on the waves goes up and down, up and down, up and down. The boat on the waves goes up and down all day long. The sail on the boat goes flap, 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 flap. The sail on the boat goes flap, flap, flap all day long. The anchor on the boat goes splash, 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 splash. The anchor on the boat goes splash, splash, splash all day long. The horn on the boat goes toot, 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 toot. The horn on the boat goes toot, toot, toot all day long. The oars on the boat go row, 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 row. The oars on the boat go row, row, row all day long. Good job. I have had such a great day learning about boats with you. Can you remember any of the 5 fun facts about a boat? Maybe this will give you a little hint. While you're thinking and trying to remember, I want you to remember this, that there is no one in the world just like you. Thank you so much for being you. Until next time, bye-bye.